you're looking to dive into topics on how to live a happier, healthier, more fit, and long lifespan, then you've come to the right podcast. Livin the Dream with me, Coach Damian Evans. Together, we will explore the topics on all things health, fitness, and wellness. Together, we will be lifelong learners on this journey to living the ultimate dream. What up, Dream Team? Coach D here, coming at you from beautiful, sunny San Diego, and welcome back to the Livin the Dream podcast. And if you've ever put someone on a pedestal, if you've ever compared yourself to a perfect role model, or if you've ever felt like you'll never measure up, this episode is for you. Today, we're diving into Chapter 2 of Make Change That Lasts, where Dr. Rangan Chatterjee challenges one of the biggest obstacles to personal growth, the myth of the hero. We all have heroes, celebrities, athletes, influencers, even people in our own lives. But what if idolizing them is actually holding us back? What if constantly comparing ourselves to someone else is the very thing that is preventing us from thriving? Let's get into it. The myth of the hero. As a teenager, Dr. Chatterjee, he idolized John Bon Jovi. I mean, that's a good one. That is a rock star. His walls were covered in Bon Jovi posters. He learned all his songs. He learned to actually write and play his songs. He even started a band modeling his entire identity after the rock star. And for a while, it actually worked. He got to play music in front of packed crowds. He even had people telling him how famous he was. But here's the problem. He wasn't being himself. He was trying to be someone else. And that's something most of us have done. We follow fitness influencers and think, if I had their body, I would be so happy. We admire business leaders and think, man, if I had their success, life would be so perfect. We scroll through social media and feel like everyone else has this thing figured out, while we're still trying to get our act together. The reality, these heroes aren't who we think they are. Think about some of the biggest names in sports and entertainment. Michael Phelps won 28 Olympic gold medals. Can you imagine 28 gold medals around someone's neck? But Michael Phelps suffered from severe depression, and he actually almost took his own life. Tiger Woods dominated golf, but we all know his story, battled addiction, infidelity, and public humiliation. Robin Williams, one of the most beloved comedians and actors of all time. He made the world laugh, but behind the scenes, he battled deep depression and personal struggles. These are people that we look up to. But when we idolize someone, we're only seeing their highlight reel. We don't see the struggles, the sacrifices, the burnout, or the pain. And yet we still compare ourselves to this idealized version of them, an impossible standard. And what happens when we don't measure up to the impossible standard? Well, of course, we feel like failures. We push ourselves too hard. We overwork, we overtrain, and we overconsume in a futile attempt to chase perfection. And that's where the real damage happens. There is danger in perfection. Perfectionism is one of the biggest reasons people struggle with self-worth. A 2008 study found that perfectionism has increased by 33% since 1989. Why? Because we are constantly surrounded by polished, edited, and curated images of what quote-unquote success looks like. The perfect body, the perfect career, the perfect relationship. And when we don't match up to perfection, we feel like we're failing. But here's what Dr. Chatterjee points out in his book. Perfection doesn't exist. Perfection doesn't exist. Even the most successful people have struggles. Even your heroes have flaws. That's right. Beyonce, Taylor Swift, they all have flaws. And when we idolize them, we create an impossible standard, one that leads to stress, burnout, and unhealthy coping mechanisms. And that's why we have to redefine what a hero really is. How do we have a healthy relationship with heroes? Here's the thing. Looking up to the people that we do isn't bad. It's not bad that we look up to people. We can absolutely be inspired by others. But the key is to be intentional about who we admire, and here's the important part, and why we admire them. Instead of idolizing the whole person, ask yourself 2 questions. What specific quality do I admire in this person? How can I develop that quality in myself? For example, Dr. Chatterjee looks up to Dr. Edith Eger, a Holocaust survivor who reframed her suffering into personal empowerment. If you haven't heard the story of Dr. Edith Eger, you should definitely look into it. It's incredible. He talks about it in his book. He talks about it on his podcast all the time. Now, he doesn't idolize everything about her. What he does admire is her ability to choose an empowering perspective in any situation, in even the worst possible situation that you can imagine. Her ability to choose an empowering perspective. Dr. Chatterjee admired Edith Eger for her ability to reframe her struggles. She reframed her struggles into personal empowerment, and that mindset transformed his own approach to life. Now, for me personally, that person was Kobe Bryant. Growing up, I didn't just admire Kobe because he was an incredible basketball player. I admired him for his relentless work ethic, his leadership, his ability to lean into discomfort. Kobe wasn't just about talent, which he had unimaginable amounts of that. He was about discipline. He was about showing up every day. He was about leading from the front and embracing challenges as a way to grow. His Mamba mentality was all about handling adversity with focus and determination. But just like Dr. Chatterjee and Edith Eger, what I admired in Kobe wasn't about me trying to be him, which when I played basketball, I actually did try to play just like him. But what I admired, it was about recognizing the qualities in him that I wanted to cultivate in myself. So did I put him up on a pedestal? Probably a little bit. I was young. But that's the key. Here, instead of idolizing our heroes as untouchable, we want to ask ourselves, what qualities do they embody that I can develop in my own way? Was Kobe Bryant perfect? Far from it. He had a ton of stuff that he went through, and he taught me how to handle being wrong, and when things happen in life that you shouldn't have done, how do you interact with that? But instead of worshiping these heroes, we want to extract what inspires us about them. Extract what inspires you and use it to build yourself up. This hero worship doesn't just apply to celebrities or athletes, but sometimes we create these vertical relationships in our own lives where we put someone above us and ourselves below them. Maybe it's a boss who makes us feel small. Maybe it's a friend who subtly undermines us. Maybe it's a partner who approval dictates our self-worth. Dr. Chatterjee, he shares the story of Bethany, a woman who had lifelong friendship with this other person, and that lifelong friendship was built on her playing the quote-unquote supporting role. Her friend Amy, she always took the center stage, and Bethany was the supporter. When Bethany started pursuing her own dreams, Amy couldn't handle it. She really put her down. She criticized her and made her doubt herself. It wasn't until Bethany stepped back and asked, "Why have I always put Amy on a pedestal and myself underneath her?" That she realized the relationship was toxic at that point, and she ended the friendship. And with within months, her energy, her mood, and her sleep dramatically improved. She didn't know that this friendship was affecting her health like this. The takeaway from this story: healthy relationships are horizontal. They are not vertical. If someone in your life is making you feel less than, it might be time to take a step back and reassess that dynamic. Let's get into some practical strategies here. The Hero Journal. Dr. Chatterjee recommends a simple exercise to shift your mindset. Every day, write down 3 ways you were a hero that day. Not in a saving the world kind of way, but in a small, meaningful moment type of way. Did you show kindness to a stranger? Did you push through a challenge? Did you take care of yourself in a way that mattered so that you could show up to the people in your life that you love? This exercise, it reprograms your brain to recognize that you are already capable, strong, and worthy. You don't need to chase someone else's version of success. You can define your own. So try this journaling practice. Write down 3 things that you did today that you were a hero. Did you show kindness to a stranger? Did you push through a challenge? Did you take care of yourself in a way that mattered? A final takeaway here for this chapter: let go of your heroes and trust yourself. Number 1, your heroes are not who you think they are. You're just seeing their highlight reel, not their reality. Number 2, perfectionism is a trap. Stop comparing yourself to an impossible standard. Number 3, be intentional about admiration. Extract the qualities that you respect from a person rather than idolizing the whole person. Number 4, watch for vertical relationships in your life. Surround yourself with people who lift you up, not those who keep you small. And number 5, you are your own hero. Start recognizing the small ways that you show up for yourself every day. The only person you should be competing with is yesterday's version of you. And if you enjoyed this episode, get ready to keep diving into the book Make Change That Lasts, as each week we break down a new chapter. And don't miss an episode by hitting that follow button, because in the next episode, we're going to be talking about the power of identity and how shifting the way that you see yourself can change everything. All right, Dream Team, stay strong, stay authentic, and remember, you are already enough. And that's it, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Livin the Dream podcast. Please share the knowledge that you gained with your friends and family and hold each other accountable. If this episode inspired you, share it with a friend who could benefit from what we talked about today. To support this podcast and help it grow, please subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to this podcast on. And please leave a review telling others how this podcast benefited you. Leave a comment on this episode on YouTube or Spotify, letting me know and others know how you're incorporating listening to yourself and becoming your own expert, and how you are making yourself the own hero. This is a non-cost way to help get this important wellness content into more people's ears. Make sure you tag me at livingthedream_podcast or at Coach Damien_SD and let us know how this episode benefited you. Please let us know what we missed. Let us know what we got wrong. We want to know. Message us if you have any suggestions or tips that would help your Livin the Dream team that we can discuss on future episodes. I will be right here with you, working on making us stronger, happier, and healthier humans. Until next time, friends, keep living the dream.